Welcome to this channel about keeping small tropical lizards such as anoles and grass lizards into compact bioactive enclosures. My name is Vincent and this is the third video within a series of videos on how to set up a compact bioactive enclosure. In the previous video we talked about a couple of things such as how to select the right base enclosure for your bioactive enclosure. I named a few good beginner species if you want to get into this niche of the hobby, and we talked about picking a theme for the enclosure you are working towards because it's nice to have that up front. So yeah, if you want to know about that, check out the previous video. There's also a starter video on this whole playlist, so if you want to know how this whole playlist comes together, you can check that video out. And yeah, in this video we are gonna talk about the background, an important piece within a enclosure. And yeah, I will talk about the background in four different ways. So first of all, I use Fern Root and I will explain why. Secondly, I will list a shopping list of stuff that you need to follow this video, so to make a Fern Root background. Third, I have a sort of a background story on Fern Root, which is nice, so where it comes from. And then finally, we are really gonna put in the background. So yeah, I will tell how I do it. I will also show it a little bit, but it's actually really simple. And I will name a few tips that I use. So yeah, let's get into the video. Okay, so why Fern Root? And yeah, while I tell that, I will film this enclosure a bit. Yeah, four reasons for me personally, or why you should use Fern Root. And the first one is really the most important one, and that has to do with humidity and water management. So it really holds water well, so it stays more humid on the back of your enclosure. And yeah, what I do, maybe I can show it. I really put in the Fern Root in my drainage layer, and by doing that, yeah, it can suck up the water from the drainage layer, and then the plants on the background, like a bromeliad or the moss or whatever, can drink the water again. So there's actually a sort of water cycle in your enclosure, and yeah, that's really beneficial for the whole bioactive theme. That brings me to the second reason. So it adds to the bioactive theme and actually the Fern Root starts to regrow itself. I will show that quickly in this enclosure. So there on the back you can see that the Fern Root is starting to regrow. So that's the second reason that adds to the bioactive theme. Then third, yeah, it's just an extra surface where you can do stuff with plants, with moss, and yeah, therefore it just looks, in my opinion, really nice. And yeah, the fourth reason is also it's beneficial for the microorganisms, and I cannot show that now, but it's like there are really, yeah, starting to you really start to get tunnels in the Fern Root. When it gets a bit older, it gets a bit more loose, and then sometimes you really see springtails or isopods crawling in it. So not on it, but they're sort of tunnels, and you can see them walking in a line, and it's really cool. So yeah, those are the four reasons for me. Water management, adds to the bioactive theme, an extra surface for planting and the moss, and it's beneficial for your microorganisms. So yeah, a short background story on Fern Root, and while telling it I will try to film my animals a little bit. So Fern Root, it comes from Australia, and yeah, there was actually a period when it was quite rare, and actually the stores and distributors, they had to keep a certain administration of it. There was actually CITES on it. I will not explain CITES now, but yeah, but nowadays it's not so rare anymore, and that's mainly because they changed something apparently in Australia. I'm not 100% sure it's true, but apparently in the old days, when they needed space to build a new highway or a new city, and they needed space for that, for example by removing a piece of forest, then they just created a controlled fire, and that way they cleared the forest, and then they started the building work. But what they do now is that they actually do that in a more controlled way. So if they know that they need a certain forest to be, yeah, let's say removed for a highway or something, they let certain companies go into that region, and they can get everything out what can be saved or what is useful. And now there's actually a company which is allowed to get all the fern root out of those areas, and so there's apparently plenty of it now, and yeah, really nice how that works now. So nice for the hobby, and nice for those companies, I guess, and yeah, nice that the stuff is not burned but used in another way. So yeah, that's some background on the fern root. As I said, I'm not 100% sure the story is true, but this is what I've heard. Next part is the shopping list, and yeah, we don't need so much for this part of building a compact bioactive enclosure. So yeah, of course you need a base enclosure. So this is the one I am using. Yeah, if you want to know why, as I said before, check out the previous video. Then we of course need fern root. So yeah, I bought 3 plates, and they are 50 centimeters long, 20 centimeters wide, and I have the version which is 2 centimeters thick. And because I'm gonna slice it up, I can play a little bit with the width of each slice. So usually I cut them between 2 and 3 centimeters, and yeah, I have a lot of pieces left from previous projects, which is actually really handy. If you have a certain spot where it doesn't fit, then you can fix it with a little bit extra. So if this is gonna be your very first time using fern root, I advise to buy a little bit more. Yeah, and you can slice the fern root with or a saw, which is maybe the logical option, but if you don't have one, you can also use a bread knife. So I did that a few times, and actually a bread knife is somehow perfect to slice fern root up. I don't know why, but that also works. And yeah, you need a kit. So this is the one I am using, and in every aquarium or terrarium store in the Netherlands they have like this one, Den Brave, and so it's an Aqua Silicone, and you can see here that it's you can use it for aquariums. So yeah, the silicone, and what I always do, I empty the previous one, so I actually put this piece on the old one, and then when this one is empty I go to the next one so I don't lose anything. And of course you need one of those kit tools to use it, and yeah, that's it. Terrarium, fern root kit, and someone to slice it with and something to apply the kit. So yeah, we are now at the main part of this video, which is actually putting this fern root into the base enclosure. And what I will do, I will make a few time jumps, and then at each time jump I will name some tips and I will tell what I will do next. So yeah, the first thing is I'm just gonna slice these plates up into smaller pieces. Oh, so yeah, sorry, I forgot to tell something, but you can actually use this painter's tape to make a yeah, sort of aiming point where you are gonna do the slicing, sawing. And also a tip, please do this outside, because if you're gonna do it inside you have to do a lot of cleaning work. So I sliced everything up, and yeah, you should get roughly 7 slices out of each plate. And yeah, the next thing I am gonna do is I'm gonna put 5 layers on the left side of the enclosure, 5 layers on the right side of the enclosure, and then I sort of let them go towards each other. And yeah, what I typically do, I will check out each slice and then the part that looks the most appealing, that has a sort of structure, that's the part that I will yeah, face towards the front, so you get the best look. And what I also do, I will not make every slice the same height, but it variances, it's a little bit different all the time, so you also get a sort of a structure there. And yeah, also a tip, maybe an important tip, but don't let it go all the way to the top, so keep a little bit of open space. And I think personally that it looks cool, but also then the crickets cannot so easily get on your steel mesh, and that's really annoying for me when they are sitting there, I don't know. And so by leaving a sort of open space, the crickets cannot get there. So yeah, I'm gonna put in 5 pieces left by 5 pieces right. And oh yeah, important tip, put the glue on the glass, because the glue is made to stick to glass, and it does that very well. If you try to put the glue on the fern root and then put the fern root on the glass, it's super annoying, and yeah, it doesn't work. And actually the first 4 or 5 enclosures I did that myself, and then I got the tip from somebody like, you should do it the other way around, and it's much easier. So yeah, we will jump now to the 5 layers left, 5 layers right. So here we are again. As I said, I made 5 layers on one side and 5 layers on the other side. And what I will do from now on is put one on one side, one on the other side, and then the sides grow towards each other. And I also made a quick video on how I apply the kit, and I will show that before this part or after this part, so maybe you've seen it already, otherwise it comes after this. And yeah, actually for this part we are almost finished, so I just have to fill up this gap, and then I leave it on the back side, so gravity puts the pieces a little bit on the glass. I'll also put some weight on it. I like to use for example a bag with sand or something, so it levels out a bit. And yeah, after that you have to leave it for at least 24 hours, so the kit is fully worked out, or how do you say that, so it's finished. And then yeah, so I will now jump to the last part, which is the end result for this video. So at the last part of this main part of the video, filming from the top. And yeah, really pleased with the result. So at the end I had to do a little bit of puzzling there to make it all fit. And yeah, so what I will do now is leave the enclosure on the back side for at least 24 hours, but I will leave it for a few days. And yeah, it's ready for the next part of this whole playlist, so on how to set up a compact bioactive enclosure. And at the roundup part of this video, which starts after this part, I will explain a little bit more on that. So yeah, the final part of this video, which is the roundup part of the video, and I always do two things here: recap what we did during this video and a looking forward to the next video. So yeah, the recap, what did we do? First of all, I explained why I use fern root, or why you should use fern root. So it's good for humidity. It adds to the bioactive theme. It looks very nice. You can put plants against it, moss can grow into it, and it's also good for microorganisms because they can also settle in there. After that, we looked at the shopping list, and actually you only need two things for this video, which is the fern root and a kit, Aqua kit to be specific. To apply it, and you need the tools for applying the fern root to the back part of your enclosure. Then we looked at the background of fern root, so where does it come from? Australia, and they also yeah, get it out of the forests in a controlled way, so it's not anything negative there. And then we went to the main part of the video, which is actually applying the fern root in the enclosure. And yeah, quickly, what do I do? So I slice up the bigger parts into smaller parts, then I make a sort of mosaic on the background, and I make a beginning on the left side, I make a beginning on the right side, and then you let them grow to each other. And yeah, then the result is that the fern root is nicely placed in the enclosure. You have a nice structure because of making the smaller pieces. Yeah, then the next video, that video is about applying the moss to the background, and I use a specific blender technique. So I put a few different types of moss, Java moss, sphagnum moss, and also another one I don't know the English name from. And I put it in the blender and then put it on the background with a painting brush. And so that will be the next video. Yeah, for now, as always, thanks for watching. If you are still here, like, subscribe, share. I leave that all up to you, but it's highly appreciated. And we will see each other when we get there.